The New Soviet Union, Stalin's Takeover by Jarrett Abels and Josh Powell. Narration by Josh Powell. Vladimir Lenin led the Russian Revolution and founded the Soviet state. Following Lenin's death in 1923, he was succeeded by Joseph Stalin, who had much more dictatorial methods of governing than Lenin. Joseph Stalin was born on December 18, 1879, in the Russian peasant village of Gory, Georgia. At age 7, Joseph contracted smallpox, leaving his face scarred and his left arm slightly deformed. The other village children treated him cruelly, making him furious. Because of this, Joseph began a quest for greatness and respect. He also developed a cruel streak for those who crossed him. Joseph's mother wanted him to become a priest. In 1888, she managed to enroll him in church school in Gory. Joseph did well in school, and his efforts gained him a scholarship to Tiflis Theological Seminary in 1894. A year later, Joseph came in contact with a secret organization that supported Georgian independence from Russia. Some of the members were socialists who introduced him to the writings of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. Joseph joined the group in 1898. Though Joseph excelled in seminary school, he left in 1899 and eventually joined the Social Democratic Labor Party and worked full-time for the revolutionary movement. He was arrested many times during the years of the Russian Revolution due to the coordinating labor strikes. In April of 1917, Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin denounced the provisional government, arguing that the people should rise up and take control by seizing land from the rich and factories from the industrialists. By October, the revolution was complete, and the Bolsheviks were in control. In 1922, Stalin was appointed to the newly created office of General Secretary of the Communist Party. After Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin set out to destroy the old party leadership and take total control. At first, he had people removed from power through bureaucratic shuffling and denunciations. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, Stalin reversed the Bolshevik agrarian policy by seizing land given earlier to the peasants and organizing collective farms. Stalin believed that collectivism would accelerate food production, but the peasants resented losing their land and working for the state. Millions were killed in forced labor camps or starved during the ensuing famine. Stalin also set in motion rapid industrialization. That initially achieved huge success, but over time cost millions of lives and vast damage to the environment. Any resistance was met with swift and lethal response. Millions of people were exiled to labor camps of the Gulag or were executed. In 1939, Stalin made a seemingly brilliant move, signing a non-aggression pact with Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. Stalin was convinced of Hitler's integrity and ignored warnings from his military commanders that Germany was mobilizing armies on its eastern front. The Nazi blitzkrieg struck in June 1941, and the Soviet army was completely unprepared and immediately suffered massive losses. Stalin was so distraught with Hitler that he hid in his office for several days. After things finally settled down, Stalin started getting suspicious of the West since the inception of the Soviet Union. As the tide of war slowly turned into the Allies' favor, President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill met with Joseph Stalin to discuss post-war arrangements. Although the Big Three had made their post-war arrangements, Stalin was still obsessed with the threat of invasion from the West. In 1948, Stalin ordered an economic blockade on the German city of Berlin in hopes of gaining full control of the city. The Allies mounted a massive airlift supplying the city and eventually forcing Stalin to back down. Stalin also suffered another foreign policy defeat after he encouraged North Korean Communist leader Kim Il-sung to invade South Korea, believing the United States would not interfere. Stalin's health began to deteriorate in the early 1950s. After an assassination plot was uncovered, he ordered the head of the secret police to instigate a new purge of the Communist Party. Before it could be executed, however, Stalin died on March 5, 1953. He left a legacy of death and terror as he turned a